Welcome to Medfield TV. I'm James Callahan and this is Andy Latai.
Hi.
And today we're conducting the second of 3 interviews in our series to introduce the 3 candidates who are running for representative to the 9th Norfolk District to the Massachusetts House of Representatives. Sean Dooley, Republican candidate, Edward J. McCormick III, Democratic candidate, and Chris Timpson, Independent candidate. The special election is for 6 towns. In Medfield, this election is for precincts 3 and 4 only. The special election primary is next Tuesday, December 10th, and the special election general election is on January 7th. This program has been organized by the Medfield League of Women Voters. They have sponsored this initiative to engage Medfield High students in the process of educating the citizens of Medfield about the candidates seeking office to replace Representative Dan Winslow, who resigned in September. We would like to give a special shout out to Ms. Farahar for her guidance in organizing these questions and the interviews. Today, we're here with Mr. Edward J. McCormick III. Mr. McCormick, if you could please in 3 minutes give us a brief overview of why you're running for this particular office.
Sure, James. Thank you. Thank both of you for having me here today. It's a pleasure. First of all, I apologize for the appearance of the bandage on my face. That was not an accident. It was a medical procedure that I had, and I didn't want to postpone today. I wanted to make sure I made it, so I apologize for that.
Makes you look rugged.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't think my looks are going to win or lose this campaign anyway. But why am I running? I'm running because I love the area. This is my home. I've lived in Norfolk for 30 years. Before that, I went to Xaverian Brothers High School. I graduated well before you guys, 1971. Went to Providence College and graduated in 1978. And I went from there, I went to law school. But I've lived in this community for most, if not all, of my life. And it means an awful lot to me. I'm married. I live here with my wife now. I've raised my 2 daughters who both went to Ursuline Academy. They're both now graduated from college and they're both in law school. So the area means a lot to me in what I think it has given an awful lot to me and my family, and this is an opportunity for me to try to give something back. The other reason I'm running is I think too often we've seen candidates, specifically in this seat, run and then seek higher election or a higher office as soon as they can and do something different and use this as a stepping stone. Because of that, I don't think the 9th Norfolk District has got the attention, the state aid, and the relief that it needs. And I intend to run. Look, I'm 60 years old. I'm running for this office, not looking over my shoulder at the polling data to plan to run for a higher office 10 years from now. This is it. If I'm fortunate enough to be elected here, I will seek re-election and I will stay in this seat. I pledge to the people of this community and the voters of the 9th Norfolk District not to seek any higher office. And because of that, I think I can have the freedom to try to vote as the people in this district want for their needs and not necessarily what is politically expedient. The other reason I think I'm running, as a Democrat I'm running, is I think as a Democrat we're going to be able to be in a better position to bring state aid and state relief and attention from Beacon Hill to the 9th Norfolk District, which I think so often has been an orphan child up on Beacon Hill. So I bring to this, experience in the private sector. I've been in the private practice of law for 35 years. I've never been on Beacon Hill. I've never had an elected office. And that's what I'd like to bring. That's what I'd like to try to do.
Thank you. Now we have 10 additional questions for you, Mr. McCormick. And we're going to start off with one about raising the minimum wage. The state Senate recently approved a bill raising the minimum wage to $11 per hour, the highest rate in the nation. The House of Representatives will likely take up this bill early next year. How would you vote on this as Medfield State Representatives? And what else can we do to improve economic opportunity?
Well, first of all, I think that bill, James, is raising the $11 over a 3-year period. I don't think it goes in all at once. Of course, the final version of the bill is yet to be seen. But my understanding is that the proposal is that it'll be raised from $8 to $11 over a 3-year period of time. If that were the bill that if I were fortunate enough to be in the House of Representatives representing this district, I would vote for it. I don't think raising the minimum wage from $8 to $11 is overly burdensome. And you know, you hear arguments that it's going to be overly burdensome to small businesses. I disagree with that. I'm a small business owner and have been for a long time, and I've never paid anyone the minimum wage. And yes, we have clerical people in our office. I don't think small businesses in general pay minimum wage. I think big businesses pay minimum wage. And that's who's against the raise in minimum wage. It's Burger King and McDonald's and Walmart. It's not small businesses. So I would be for it. I don't know if there's many of us who would be looking to live on $8 an hour, or in some cases $11 an hour. How else I would improve the economic opportunity? Look, any election, the economy and jobs are paramount, and it's very, very important to focus on those areas. And what we do is we have a very highly literate, highly educated workforce in Massachusetts. What we need to do in state government is bring incentives to keep those jobs, such as robotics, in Massachusetts and not let them move out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Due to a provision in the state constitution, Massachusetts is currently one of only 9 states with a flat income tax rate. Opponents claim that this is outdated, regressive policy, but attempts to change the law at the ballot box have always failed by wide margins. Would you be in favor of amending the state constitution to allow for a progressive income tax rate? And also, should the 6.25% sales tax stay where it is?
Let me answer the last part, the sales tax. No, I don't think it should stay where it is. I think it should be reduced. And I would be in favor of reducing it to a flat 6%. Again, sales of goods in our economy are very, very important for the creation of jobs, for the stimulation of the economy. And while, you know, a quarter of a percent may not mean a whole lot to a sale of a particular item, it does over the long run to businesses. And we're competing in Massachusetts with businesses from out of state. And where are our jobs going to go? I say that we don't certainly raise the sales tax. I would be for reducing the sales tax to a flat 6%. As for the income tax, I would be against a progressive income tax. We have that obviously at the federal level. You know, we hear so often that Massachusetts is Taxachusetts. We have a lot of taxes. We have a lot of fees. And while I certainly believe that the progressive income tax at the federal level is fair and equitable in balancing the tax burden on those who are making more money as opposed to those who aren't. I think at the state level, we're paying enough as it is, and we have to be very, very careful, because I don't think many people are going to move out of the country because of a progressive tax rate at the federal level. I'm not so sure we won't see some type of exodus of people who we want to stay in Massachusetts, at least making their legal residences places like Florida and in places where the tax burden is less, and it's attractive already. Let's not make it any more attractive than it is.
All right.
Next question. A study by the Massachusetts Taxpayer Foundation found that at the end of 2012, state and municipal retirement funds across the Commonwealth had $146 billion in unfunded liabilities, with $63 billion on hand and a gap of $83 billion. How do you plan to close this gap?
I don't know. That's a huge gap. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I've got an exact plan on how to find $83 billion. I don't. But I think, in general, what we've got to do, we've got to make that $63 billion that we do have work better for us and get a better return on that money, and I think that's possible. And I think we need to regulate and reform some of the pension investment procedures that's been going on in the Treasurer's office, and I would be for the Inspector General having an overview of that. But I think what we've got to do is we've got to look at the pension system in and of itself. The pension system is important. It is important to our public employees, and the attacks on the pension system I am against. When a person takes a job in the public sector at whatever, let's say at age 25, and says, okay, I'm going to work in the public sector because I know in 20 years or 30 years I'm going to get X of a pension. That's a contract. That's a deal. That's a promise. And because we're running short of money, doesn't mean that we renege as a government on those deals. Our public officials, people in the public sector, do make a sacrifice at times for salary now with the promise of pensions. We cannot renege on that. On the other hand, as people enter the workforce, I think there is certainly room for reform and oversight and at least a review of our present pension system, because it seems to me that in all aspects of society, we're having fewer and fewer people pay for more and more benefits, and there's going to be a breaking point somewhere at that point.
Thank you.
While Massachusetts has approached its goal of near universal health care coverage, costs for care have risen exorbitantly since 2006. What specific plan do you have to better keep costs under control?
Well, first of all, I think what we have to look at is what are we getting? It's fortuitous, I suppose. I opened my remarks with a bandage on my face. I have bandages a couple other places too. I just had some surgery at Mass General on Tuesday. And the quality of health care that we are fortunate in Massachusetts to get, I think is great. I think that the quality of health care is the top of the game, top in the world, and we're fortunate to live here. The cost of that health care, I think what we need to do is examine the costs of the health care. Is it really an $8 aspirin? Does an MRI really cost $1,200? I think we have to look at those costs and have to, get to the basic formulas of the costs, because I think right now we have so much, and if you talk to any doctors, they know this better than I do, the bureaucracy that doctors and insurance companies are going through. I'd love to know what percentage of every dollar is used on paperwork and not on health care itself. I think that is a critical question. I think it's a question we have not only in the healthcare industry, but certainly almost everything we're doing right now. Are we allowing our healthcare professionals to do the best they can at a cost that is reasonable for everybody?
Thank you.
The state legislature is currently considering a bill that would raise the dropout age to 18. Is this a good idea? And what else can the state do to improve education?
Well, to answer the second part of it, I think funding. I think education is one of our most important goals, and I think it is one of the most important, if not singly the most important thing that the state government can do. And the federal government obviously protects our national security, but the state government, an educated workforce and an educated society is critical to the advancement of us all. And there's almost, any dollar you spend for education is a good dollar spent. So I think I would like to see an increase in funding. I'm hearing, as I'm campaigning, I'm hearing of libraries closing and things of that nature. I think that has to stop. I mean, yes, there are some fiscal restraints we all have to live by, but closing libraries isn't one of them. As for the 18 dropout age, it sounds good. I think all of us would like to see everybody stay in school well beyond 18. But in some communities in our state and in some families, that is unrealistic. There are simply some people who need to go to work, and they need to leave school before they're 18. What I would be in favor of is for those people, those kids who have to leave school before they're 18, is to have a flex program, allowing them to go to school at night, allowing them to go to school after hours, so they can maintain education benefits and maintain their progress in education. But for those people who, for whatever reasons, economic or personal or family, have to go to work and find a full-time curriculum to 18, impossible to do, I certainly wouldn't criminalize that.
Thank you.
Now, casinos are facing significant hurdles in opening in Massachusetts as towns like Milford and East Boston vote down proposals. A grassroots advocacy group called Repeal the Casino Deal has filed more than 90,000 signatures to halt gambling in the state. As Medfield's representative, where do you stand on casino gambling? Would you support efforts to open a casino anywhere in the district?
Well, casino, where I would stand on casino gambling, to answer that question, would I support, I wouldn't want to see a casino in our district. Very frankly, I would not want to see a casino here. The casino bill has passed. I wasn't a member of the legislature. The legislature passed, the governor signed it. I think too often in society, both at the federal and the state level, we're rehashing past laws, and if we don't like what the legislature passed, whether it's health care, whether it's a restriction on some personal right, we look to relitigate it, we look to regovern it, we look to rehash it. It is the law. It seems to have problems passing. I, for one, would have voted against the opening of casinos in Massachusetts. I don't think, as you guys are in high school, so you remember better than I do, at the end of the Roman Empire, Edward Gibbon said, and at the end, they argued about which vices they would legalize. And now aren't we spending more time trying to, a quick fix, tax money from casinos? And if we look at casinos, who are going to the casinos? This isn't Monte Carlo and this isn't the Bellagio. The high-end rollers from around the world aren't coming to Milford or East Boston. It's the everyday person, and sometimes the people who can least afford perhaps gamble and lose that money, who are going to these casinos. I don't think it's good. I would rather see us putting our efforts into building our economy on something a little bit stronger than gambling by a certain segment of our society. We know that Massachusetts is far ahead in areas such as I mentioned ago, robotics, in medical research. These are our strengths, and I would rather see our state government emphasizing funding and maybe tax credits for companies to invest in research and development in those areas than what I really think is a short-term fix to get some tax money that otherwise isn't available and pay for some things that through casino gambling. I think it's short-sighted, and I don't think it's good for us or the Commonwealth.
Medfield's other state rep, Denise Garlick, went to the State House with a background in nursing. As a result, she's served on the committees of public and mental health, as well as worked on the healthcare cost containment bill. Is there a particular area of government where you think you can make a difference?
Well, I think, when you look at government, I would like to think that I could make a difference in several areas. Obviously, I've practiced law for 35 years. That is the area that if I have any expertise, that would be it. I would like to, perhaps if I'm fortunate to be elected, serve in the Judiciary Committee. I think I could make some improvements there. I think I could, my experience in knowledge of the law and what is working and what isn't working, such as mandatory sentences and things of that nature, I think I may be able to make some contribution in that area.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, right now, Medfield is looking at several major construction projects: Dale Street School, the police and fire department, and a possible new parks and recreation facility. These three deteriorating town infrastructures all need to be fixed now, but pose a tremendous cost to the town. What can the state do to help Medfield and other cities and towns seeking to undertake public works projects?
Well, this is a very important question, and it's not only a question for the town of Medfield. Norfolk, Rentham, Plainville, they're facing similar situations and similar questions. The towns simply do not have the resources to take on all these financial responsibilities. We need for public facilities, and especially schools, but police stations. And the town of Walpole is a great example. They have a very old and small, almost antiquated police station. And but the cost for the voters and the people in Walpole is just too much. I think state aid has to come in there, and I think the state has to step forward and take the steps that are necessary to provide the financing and the funding for all the cities and towns to make. We're moved into another new century. We have, everyone says, well, why is it so tough now? We didn't used to be this tough 20 years ago. Well, we have almost twice as many people, that's why. 20 years ago, you guys weren't here. And now you are. And now we need more facilities, and our antiquated facilities just can't keep up with the increase in population and the need for it. And that's in making a decision who you're going to vote for in this election. I'm running, I'm a Democrat. Whether we like it or not, we have pretty much a Democratic, one-party Democratic state. I think too often, and one of the reasons I'm running, is too often the people of the 9th Norfolk District have been ignored and denied the state relief they're entitled to, just like everybody else in this state. I ask you to ask yourself on election day, who is better equipped to bring the state aid necessary for the police station, the fire station, and these construction projects you talked to? A Democrat such as myself in the Democratic legislature, or a Republican coming in, be sitting in there as a minority with really no voice at all. And let me preface this by saying, I'm not a creature of Beacon Hill. I've never served over there. I've never met the governor. I've never met the Senate president. I met the Speaker of the House once for about 3 minutes. So I don't know how Beacon Hill works. I'm not a part of it. But I do know that as a Democrat legislator from the 9th Norfolk District, my voice will be heard in getting us the state aid that's necessary.
Thank you.
Since its closure in 2003, Medfield State Hospital has shuttered and closed atop 75,000 tons of toxic waste. The selectmen have approved the cleanup proposed by the mediation between the state and the town. The state is offering to sell to the town approximately 135 acres of the remaining 225 acres. After that, what do you see as the future for the hospital?
You've seen so many plans and so many ideas back and forth, not only for the Medfield State Hospital, but for other similar facilities down in Wrentham, the old Southwood Hospital over in Norfolk. But what is important, I think, is that we have cooperation between municipal, county, and state governments in private industry in developing these areas and these abandoned facilities, if we can use that term, and that's what they are. We can't just throw it on the government. We can't, at the municipal level, they don't have the resources and frankly, probably the expertise. What we need is private development and a private industry working hand in hand with both state and municipal government to make the most out of each one of these facilities. Now, whether that is assisted living, whether that's some residential, some retail, recreation needs. I think we all know that every one of these towns, if we go out into our fields every Saturday or Sunday, they're chock-a-block full. Recreation needs, parks, walkways, safe areas to exercise and walk, no matter how old you are and how long you've been there. These are things that these facilities are there's almost a sign saying, hey, I'm here, use me. And I think if we can put a balance together of private development with private financing, with state and local government taking a lead with them in allowing the development and financing where it is appropriate, I think that's the best use for any of the facilities.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Last question. You have had a long history of political involvement. What from your past do you think has best prepared you to represent Medfield in the State House?
Well, I don't know how much political involvement I've had. I've had a long history. I'm 60 years old, I'll give you that. But I did run for office in 1992. I ran for the United States Congress. I ran as a Republican against Barney Frank in 1992. I've since switched parties, and people ask me why, and I say, well, I didn't leave the Republican Party, it left me. I think it's far too conservative, especially on social issues, and especially at the national level. But why I'm running as a Democrat is just like I explained. I think, this district has had, our last 3 state representatives have been Republicans. And I know them all. And they're all good people, good guys. But they got nothing done. And the people of our district have to ask themselves why. And part of it is some of them, were looking at different offices or didn't stay long enough. But a lot of it is that they just weren't listened to by the people who are holding the power and the purse strings in Beacon Hill. As a Democrat, I'd be able to do that. These are the reasons I'm running. As far as what my past, the best thing I can answer that question, Andy, is I've lived here 30 years. I've lived in the town of Norfolk for 30 years. Before that, I went to Zavarian. I lived in Brockton when I went to Zavarian. We all commuted all that distance. But I know the area. I've practiced law here. I moved my office out of Boston. I've practiced law in our community since 1985. I know the area. It's important to me. I love the area. It's my home. And that's the best qualification I think I bring in seeking this office, is that this is my home. Anything that goes on here is important to me, and I'll just do my best.
Okay. Now we would like to conclude this with just your final closing remarks.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. It's great. These were very tough questions, and I hope I did some answering there where I wasn't specific enough. I just don't have the information at hand. But I can tell you that any question that I'm asked in the future, I will study and endeavor and become an expert in that area as the bills come across my desk as a representative. As I say, I've lived here for 30 years. This place is important to me. It's where I've raised my family. My children are away. My daughters are away. They come back all the time, but I say to my wife, where are my children? I have no one to harass. So it's a stage in my life where I have the time, I think the experience, I think the knowledge of our community and the intricacies of each part of the community to really best represent the 9th Norfolk District. That's what I will endeavor to do. I'm not running for any other office, and I pledge to you I will not seek any higher office. If fortunate enough to be elected your representative, I will serve there and listen to the wants of the people of this district. Someone asked me, a reporter asked me, what's your first priority if you're elected the first day in the State House? I said, I have no idea. Besides, what difference does it make what my first priority is? My first priority is what the priorities of the people of the 9th Norfolk District are at that particular time. That's what I'll listen to. That's what I'll hope to be able to push forward as a Democratic legislature in the House. So thank you very much to the people. I ask for your consideration, and I ask for your vote on both primary day and on election day. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Now, to verify that you are an active voter or to determine where your precinct is in Medfield, log on to the Town Clerk section of the Town of Medfield website, click on Am I Registered to Vote, enter your information, your last name, your first name, and your date of birth. Click Search, and you will be told if you are active, what party you are affiliated with, and what precinct you are in. Remember, the special election is for 6 towns. In Medfield, this election is for precincts 3 and 4 only. The special election primary is on Tuesday, December 10th, and the special election general election is on January 7th. Thank you for joining us today, and be sure to see all 3 of our interviews and be sure to vote. Thank you for watching.
Hi, this is Pete Peterson. You are watching Medfield.tv.